This is John Young with the Disc Jockey News. We are looking at the Electro EVCoat speakers today. And we're looking at, I wanted to compare the 12 and the 15-inch top. So we've got, if you see behind me, we've got the 12P actually over here and the 15P over here. These are the EKX series speakers now, and we've got it above the EKX, the 18SP. Now what I've done is I've dialed all three of them in at different times to make sure that they are matching up with the tops. We've tested the sub set to the top, and you can do that in the menu in the back, and we've done it with both speakers. So the sub was set to go with the 15P, and then we set the sub to go with the 12P. We've been running these pretty much all afternoon here today to really get an idea of what they can do. I'm going to show you a couple of things about them and give you my thoughts here in just a couple of seconds. On the back of all EKX series speakers, we've got an LCD menu that we can go do a lot of different things. Just out of the box, when you turn it on and such, it will give you the ability to raise or lower the level. You can go up 10 dB and you can go down to a negative, what was it, goodness gracious, to muting it, but a negative 80 dB. I was running this at 0 on the 15P. I'll get back there. Here we are. And it matched up pretty well with the sub if I bumped the sub up a couple of dB. Now on the 12P, I ran the 12P at 0 dB also, but then I could take the sub back down to a 0 dB also. So there's a little bit of a difference between the horsepower between the two. But I want to show you this on the menu, and this is the same on the 12P or the 15P. We can go into the actual programming mode a little bit. We'll call it a programming mode. We can select what the mode is. It's music, location, it's on a tripod. I set it to the sub, which was the EKX 18SP, right down below us there. And continuing on through, we can do some tweaking a little bit. And these I really didn't touch. This I touched. It comes out of the box. The brightness was at 5. And it was like something like that. Psh, I'm old. I can't see that. Turn that sucker up. Now I can see it. Now that's awesome. And of course I could store that. And you just hit store. And look at there. I've already got something stored. That's it right there. So that was my settings for it. And I was very, very happy with the settings. Did the similar settings on the 12P top. So everything was pretty much identical between the two. And then the sub we did a little bit different because obviously it had to switch. On the sub, well, let's take a look at the sub. All right, here we are on the EKX 18SP sub, looking at its LCD menu, and I have it up, of course, at 2 dB, which matched up pretty well, I felt, with the 15-inch top. We can go to there, we had music. Now this is kind of a cool setting. We can come down to location, we can click on that. We have our options of normal and cardioid. What cardioid does is it helps us steer the bass. So instead of having the bass all over, we can set it to cardioid with a second sub. Now these subs have to be together, stacked on top of each other, one facing forward, one facing backwards. And what they will do is work together and make it so that the sound will go out and it won't come back, which is kind of a cool feature. I'm going to go back to normal because I don't want to do that here. And then, of course, I can go and set it so it matches up with the tops I'm using. I can set the low pass for the 15. I can set the low pass for, where is it, the 12, whichever one I want to do. But I'm on the 15 right now, so we're going to put it back to the 15. And then we've got the option to come down and set the contrast. And, once again, the brightness, because that was something that I did. Is it started out out of the box at about 5, and I, again, can't see that. I am just too old for that. So we can get here, exited back to that. And there we are with our 2 dB gain, which matched up very well with this 15-inch top. So we looked at some of the menu options on the back of the EKX series of speakers from Electro Voice. There's some functionality back there that most speakers don't have, especially in this price range. This is not the top of the end price stuff, but quality-wise, you're starting to get there with some very good components inside and some functionality. The cardioid technology, the ability to set the things back and forth and get them to sound right, and of course to set if you want music or if it's going to be for speech, what have you. That's a really cool option. Now, so I have the 12 and I have the 15. That is the EKX 12P and the EKX 15P above the EKX 18SP sub. We did the adjustments back and forth, and I didn't play this music. This is like royalty-free music, so I'm putting in the background and such, but we played real stuff that we play at events, and I played on different sound systems. I've heard it in different locations, what have you. My thoughts. If you want a little bit of a warmer sound, which almost kind of felt like it had kind of a warmer through not so much the highs and the mids, but just kind of like a little bit of a bump in that before it got to the sub, the 15 gave me a little bit more of that. Now, if you wanted to have the bass be a little bit more defined and a little bit more present, I thought the combination with the 12 gave you that. As I'm listening to it, I almost like the sound of the 12P over the 18SP more than I like the 15P. Now, if I was listening to some music that had a thump and a drive to it, like dance music, I kind of like the 15 a little bit better. But I was listening to some 70s music, some 80s music that had, you know, some Queen. We were playing some of that. We did some Chicago and different things. And when we did that, I almost liked the sound of the 12P better than I liked the sound of the 15P. So it really depends on what type of events you're doing. If you're wanting, you know, a little bit smaller and portable, the 12P, because the 12P, we've used it for doing live sound for bands and things already. The 12P can do an awful lot by itself. Add a sub, you've got even more. If you want to have, you know, something you can do most of your events without a sub, you could look at the 15P. It really is going to depend on, can you lift this guy, or is this guy going to be easier to lift? Are you going to be using the sub a lot, or are you going to be using it by itself? What type of events, how many people do you perform for? The 12P by itself sounds pretty good, but if you listen to it with the sub and then you take the sub away, you're definitely going to be noticing that you're missing something. Compared to the 15, you take the sub away and reset it, yeah, there's a difference, but it's not as drastic as going from something with an 18-inch subwoofer and all of a sudden that's gone and now you've got only a 12 as opposed to a 15, which could move more air. We'll put links in the description below so you can check out the EKX series of speakers from Electro Voice, but we're just playing with some things, doing some comparison back and forth. Some pretty good stuff from Electro Voice. This is John Young with the Disc Jockey News.